Graduates and guests, please be seated. Good afternoon, almost evening, and welcome. My name is Stuart Dow, and I am head of the Emery Weiner School. One year we're going to let the whole thing play. Anyway, if you're not already familiar, let me explain why that played. Each speaker this morning will have his or her own walk-up music, which we, of course, choose for ourselves. Not surprisingly, mine was Elton John, and that was his classic hit, Benny and the Jets. This unusual element has become an Emery tradition and is yet another reflection of our school culture. From the very first day of school, when we begin the academic year with a truly unique opening ceremony, to closing ceremony yesterday when upper school students gather as a community rather than immediately dispersing after their final exams, to the very end of today's ceremony, Emery really is different. Now, if you haven't already done so, please silence your cell phone. Despite the fact that we have had commencement in this space now many times before, every time we do, I can't believe that it's the Cosberg Gym. The transformation of this place is spectacular, and as such, it's not only time-consuming, but it requires hard work of many different people. So please join me in acknowledging several, if not most, hopefully all, of those who made it possible. Terry Nelson and his fabulous facilities team, which includes Dave Rawls, Zach Finger, Sebastian Velasquez, and Tracy Gibson. Our fabulous dynamic duo tech team, Scott Labrie and Ivan Ventura. My wonderful new right hand, my executive assistant, Kim Washington, who not only dealt with things like ticketing, but ran all over the city grabbing ferns, God bless her. Our longtime super special school nurse who does about 8,000 things on this campus that are not at all nurse related, Connie Hurd. Special thanks to Walker Fair in the back who does all things tech. And my brother and sister from another mother, Josh Blyce and Dana Abalafia, for handling an infinite number of logistics, too many to name, that makes all this possible. Please join me. We couldn't do what we're doing tonight without all these folks. I also want to acknowledge our fabulous house band. It includes two students, Gray Warren, who's class of 25 on guitar, Micah Levin, who is on drums, class of 24, and we have three faculty joining them. Kathy Clark, who is returning to be our choir director, is on keys. Josh Scheinman, fabulous guitar instructor, will be playing all night, of course, and Kelly Dean on sax. So thank you to our fabulous house band. So now on this Friday evening, with nearly 1,000 members of the extended Emery Weiner community in attendance, hundreds more watching online, I'm delighted to welcome members of the Board of Trustees, including our board president, Rick Kaplan, who's seated behind me, so many of our generous donors, all of whom trustees and donors who support the school in so many different ways, parents who entrust us with your most precious assets, your amazing, wonderful children, my faculty colleagues, incredible giving professionals, many of whom are not Jewish, but who are nevertheless committed to helping execute our school's mission, and they are on the front lines of doing so. My administrative colleagues who make my job so much easier and also just make it a genuine pleasure. And of course, our beloved students, for whom we teach, from whom we learn, laugh, and derive incredible joy. Welcome to all of you. I'd like now, please, to call forward for the invocation my colleague, Rabbi Laura Scheinkauf. Rabbi?
We have come from near and far to raise our voice in song.
Bruchim abayim b'shem Adonai. Blessed are you who come in the name of Adonai. Parents, grandparents, siblings, friends, coaches, administrators, esteemed educators, and loved ones, Bruchim Abaim, blessed are you who have gathered here today in this sacred moment, and Bruchim Abaim, esteemed graduates, the illustrious class of 2023, blessed are you who have come here in the name of God. In Judaism, we are commanded to celebrate when the occasion presents itself. Our contract with the Creator relies on our willingness to recognize what is good in our lives. And so we fulfill that obligation this evening as we pause with gratitude and in celebration. For these graduates, the journey, like all journeys, has been one of both victory and failure, joy and pain. But through the haze of uncertain times, this class has been a bright light. You, the class of 2023, have filled our corridors with laughter, graced our stage with beauty, awakened our pride on the sports field, and more than any other class in recent memory, you have inspired us with your insistence on working to make the world a better place. Class of 2023, you have always leaned forward into the future, and in this penultimate moment of your high school career, it is a privilege to come together to honor you. And so, we thank God for the unbridled happiness of this occasion, and we pray that all who are present will treasure this opportunity for hope. We pray that these graduates will be carried through the trials of this transition by our collective faith. We pray that our deep love for this group of beautiful young people is evident now and always. God, help these graduates know their worth. Help them use their gifts to mend this broken world. Let them borrow the courage of their ancestors as they venture forth. And the prophet Isaiah cried out in the temple court, Beit Yaakov l'chuven elcha b'or Adonai, house of Israel, may God strengthen your steps and illumine your path. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, God of our fathers and our mothers, bless us now as we gather to marvel at a new generation blossoming. Bless us as we demonstrate our faith in their ability to lead us into the future. We did not create this day, but we embrace it, for now is a time of rejoicing. Even as the world spins forward and time passes too quickly, we know that this is a time of rejoicing. And while the days that have preceded have sometimes been long and filled with uncertainty, this is a day of rejoicing. L'chol zman ve'et l'chol chefetz tachat hashamayim. There is a season for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, and today is a time of rejoicing. Ken yehi l'ratzon, may this be God's will.
Thank you, Rabbi. In just a minute, several students will sing the Shechecheyanu. It is a prayer that originates from the Talmud and some say is nearly 2,000 years old. According to halakha, Jewish law, there are specific times when we are commanded to recite it, but it has become customary to mark momentous and joyous occasions by singing it, and this is most assuredly a joyous occasion. The prayer reads, Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this day. The version you're about to hear isn't typical, but I think that you will agree it is wonderful. Please welcome from left to right, that's Ava Trachtenberg, Ella Weinstein, Ella Trubeck, Margaret He, Jack Paransky, Noah Barkhan, Jake Massett, Blythe Mogul, and Maya Malev. Guys?
Baruch atah Adonai
Beautiful. Beautifully done. Amen to that. To introduce our class speakers and say a few words himself, it is my pleasure to ask the head of our upper school to come forward. Please welcome Dr. Joe Weinstein Sears. Joe?
And know where the road then takes me, I cannot tell. We came all this way, but now comes the day to bid you farewell.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am Joe Weinstein Sears, and it's my honor to serve as the head of upper school here at Emery Weiner. In a moment, I will introduce, as Stuart indicated, our two speakers for the class of 2023. Following the tradition here at Emery, our first student speaker tonight will give what's called the Avar address. Avar in Hebrew means the past, and it is this speaker's task to look back at the history of the class, addressing both its character and recalling its highlights. The second student speaker will give what's called the Atid address. Atid in Hebrew means the future, and it's the job of this speaker to look ahead, articulating the hopes and dreams of the class as a whole, and sharing a final inspirational charge. I should also note that the Atid speaker is selected by Phi Beta Kappa, a nationally recognized academic honor society. And in addition to being selected by Phi Beta Kappa, this student recipient is also awarded a generous and well-deserved scholarship for college. But before I introduce these two amazing student speakers, I'd like to share just a few related insights of my own, if you'll permit me. Last month, it was my pleasure to spend a week in Israel with our seniors. And though I've enjoyed getting to know them a little better over the last year in class, there's really nothing quite like sharing in their experience of the land, haaretz. To employ a contemporary colloquialism, it hits different. Israel is a country that embodies the concepts of Avar and Atid on display in almost every corner and often side by side. For example, in the space of 24 hours, our group experienced both Avar and Atid while exploring the Negev desert down south. First, our group passed by the Ashalim power station. You should see a picture up there. It's really an incredible, remarkable feat of engineering that represents the future of Israel's renewable energy potential. Thousands of mirrors, as you can see in the image, or you did see a minute ago, train on a single tower that's over 260 meters tall, harnessing the blazing energy of the sun to produce thermal power. It's really quite remarkable. And then, just a few hours later, we were climbing the rocky path that ascended the ancient Jewish fortress of Masada. This palace of King Herod, and then later a fortress of Jewish revolutionaries, sits on the shores of the Dead Sea, not far from the resting place of the Dead Sea Scrolls and the springs of King David at En-Gedi. Just as the Ashalim power station represents the future of Israeli technology and innovation, the ruins of Masada represent the deep past of Jewish history, both its splendor and its tragedy. In this week's parashah, Beha'alotecha, God commands the house of Israel to remember their deliverance by keeping the Passover festival. Passover, that oldest of Jewish holidays, is all about retelling the past, Avar. And it's in the very same parashah that Moses invites his father-in-law's family to join the company on their journey to the land that God has promised. In other words, he invites them to join in Israel's future. Atid. These concepts are at the center of Jewish tradition and at the center of the modern state of Israel, and indeed at the core of Emery Weiner. When I look at the faces of the students behind me, I see Avar and Atid at play simultaneously. It seems like only yesterday they were wide-eyed freshmen, or in some cases, for many of them, wide-eyed sixth graders across the way. They've experienced so much together: the ups, the downs, the friendship, the travel, natural disasters, a global pandemic, growing and learning together, and finding their individual stories within their collective story. When I look at these students, I also see their future. There's so much talent here, so much concern for the world, and so much potential. Avar and Atid, side by side, hand in hand. So if you know John Farrell, you know that it's no surprise that he was chosen to give the Avar address by his classmates. John's warmth, sense of humor, optimistic outlook are characteristics common to this class, and there are few who have a clearer sense of what it's meant to be a part of the class of 2023. In the fall, John will be an undergraduate at Bates College in Lewiston, Maine, where I know he will appreciate the greener landscapes, the lakes, the hills, the cooler climate. We'll be thinking of you, John, as we're back here sweating, schwitzing in Houston. Sounds wonderful. Our second student speaker tonight is Nicole Hampton, selected by Phi Beta Kappa to give the Atid address. Nicole is the consummate student and academic. Her focus on learning, attention to detail, and critical mind make her the ideal person to turn our attention toward the future. This coming fall, Nicole will be enrolled at Northwestern University in Illinois, where she'll be studying math. And though it's a bittersweet goodbye for us, Nicole, our loss is Northwestern's gain. They are incredibly lucky to have you. So, with that, please join me in welcoming John Farrell and Nicole Hampton.
Oh, what a night. Late December back in '63. What a very special time for me, as I remember what a night. Parents, families, teachers, esteemed guests, and most importantly to my class, the class of 2023. It's that time of year again. That time when the final bell rings, school ends, and we all go our separate ways for the summer. But as you know, this time, what is usually a joyous annual occurrence, feels a little more permanent. We were thrown into the Emery difference and completed at least 4 years, for many people 7, and now this is our moment. I'm now going to list things about this place that we will no longer have. You guys are already fully aware of this, but for the sake of my speech, I'm going to act like it's news to you. No more parking on the green, no more prank days, no more trying to argue your case to Miss Abalafia, even though absolutely none of what you are wearing is dress code. No more Friday Moms complete with the array of weekly awards. What the Friday, Athlete of the Week, Mensch of the Week, and who could forget Scholar of the Week? After all the time we've spent here and thinking about the things we are leaving behind, standing up here with a cap and gown feels surreal. I've been tasked with talking about our class, what we've accomplished, what we've experienced, and the mark we have left these past 4 years. But before I get into that, I want to tell a quick story. It's May of sophomore year, senior prank day to be exact. This means that the senior class at the time has been given free rein on the halls of the Emery Weiner School. Chairs are flipped over, decorations line the halls, and the seniors have their very own mamad where they control everything. I know I'm probably striking a nerve here, so I'll get to the point. Miles Goldstein, the senior who was the MC for this mamad, said this when referencing our class. I don't really know what to say about the sophomores. Y'all don't really do anything. I'm now going to dedicate the rest of this speech to personally attacking Miles Goldstein. But in all seriousness, I'd like to present a different perspective on our class. Our class was not the most extroverted compared to some classes that came before us. That much is true. This class chose to be bold in other ways. For example, the passion, drive, and dedication we showed for what we believed in and cared about was unmatched, inspiring, and truly a privilege to be a part of. Our artwork proudly hangs in the hallways and in the administration offices. The Innovation Lab is adorned with our various projects. The final bows at Becker performances are littered with our cast members, and our legacy is felt on the field and the court through playoff runs and state championships. This class did amazing and incredibly difficult things, not to receive praise or take credit, but because of their unwavering commitment and love for the things that made them who they are. Whether it was Maya Friedberg and Dylan Kessler testifying before the state Congress to promote gun control, Josh Costa and Jake Massett literally breaking bones to then going on to play in playoff games, Ben Brody building up his fashion brand despite doubt from onlookers, or Margaret He's endless dedication to music. The commitment, courage, and perseverance that I have seen from our class is something that cannot be overlooked and has made me truly proud to be graduating with you all here today. But more than just passion and dedication for the things in our lives, what maybe strikes me even more about our class is the dedication to ourselves. What I mean by this is that we were not afraid to show people who we were, even if it was scary, defied norms, or opened us up to criticism from others. This can be something as small as when Miss Abulafia walked in and was shocked to see us blaring a video of a guy beatboxing while cosplaying as the Joker on the touchscreen that was mistakenly left in the senior lounge. It can also be something truly important and meaningful, like the senior supporters that many of you shared with us. Your words and stories truly impacted me more than I can say. I've seen many of us evolve from scared freshmen just trying to fit in to people who are unapologetic about who they are and what they feel. I find that when people are truly themselves and you get the privilege of seeing it, you can learn a lot if you pay attention. Chloe Hale's unmatched energy at every Mahmad taught me about the importance and the courage it takes to be authentic even when everyone is watching. Jake Newman taught us the importance of engaging with different viewpoints and also released some absolute classic songs, including Want Dat. Ezra Key Cohen and Leo Mendel taught me the importance of advocating for yourself as they started the first completely student-made comedy clips at Mahmad. This true expression and willingness to be vulnerable that I saw every day helps me come out of my own shell and gave me the confidence to be myself at school and in my life. As we head off to our prospective colleges in a few months, I want to encourage everyone to remember that it's not just your closest friends that you will miss. It's the passing conversations and funny interactions that you had with the people you didn't know as well, or learning about what everyone was up to in the senior lounge. This is because every person sitting behind me added something that contributed to our class, and that's what we will miss more than anything. Thank you.
You know it's not the same as it was, as it was, as it was. You know it's not the same.
Little-known scientist Albert Einstein once said, "Commit yourself to lifelong learning. The most valuable asset you will ever have is your mind and what you put into it." As Einstein was Jewish, this concept of lifelong learning wasn't anything new to him, but rather something familiar as a demand in Judaism. But this idea is not uniquely Jewish. It is repeated throughout religions and history. During our World Religions Week this year, one thing that stood out to me was the shared commitment to the continued accumulation of knowledge. Christianity emphasizes study, Hinduism says the key to unlocking oneself is through education, Buddhism asks for conscious learning throughout one's lifespan, and more. If separate explanations of reality all support this one thing, the concept of lifelong learning has some weight. In the three phases of time, past, present, and future, the future is something unknown and intangible, far outside our realm of understanding. But, unlike the unalterable past or the present passing us by, the future is something we can change. As we are stepping into a new chapter of our lives and leaving behind the well-worn comfort of the Emery community, we are inevitably going to be faced with the unknown. Our only option is to keep learning, to turn to the solution that even the divine have shown to support, and to do so through many facets to find our place in the world. Information and facts are easiest. At this point, we are all accustomed to education and the dissemination of knowledge. Science tells the story of the natural world, history teaches patterns of which we shan't repeat, language allows us to express ourselves and communicate, and so on. By continuing to immerse ourselves in education, we can gain a better understanding of the world we live in and work to improve it. At the Perez Center in Tel Aviv, we were able to see possible solutions of the future through VR predictions of things from optimized air travel to high-tech surgery procedures. And while this was a fun activity, it was also enlightening in seeing the advantages the future offers and encouraged us to play a role in reaching towards that future. While the concept of Tikkun Olam is typically attributed to volunteering, by learning to combat the greater issues that exist in the world today with the knowledge we acquire, we are still repairing the world. But while traditional education is important, it is not the end-all be-all of knowledge. Learning is a lifelong journey, and information comes from a multitude of sources. I think of Johnny DeLeaf's encyclopedic knowledge of geography formed through a video game, or David Anapolsky's 3D printing aptitude from home. So long as you're receptive to lessons, you can learn from almost any avenue. And along with that, knowledge isn't just facts and school subjects. People are intelligent in any number of ways. There's Golly Hample with the social intelligence to hold a conversation with a rock, or even me, without it being awkward. Ruben Kessler with the ability to make a pun or joke out of any statement. Ava Trachtenberg with the musical capacity to both play and innovate on a vast number of instruments, and on. I could spend hours regaling you with the various ways everyone in our class is intelligent. Regardless of the type of intelligence, all knowledge and abilities are helpful. Learning doesn't exist in isolation. If you've ever spoken to another person before, you've taught each other. Whether you are willing to learn from others is up to you. So long as you approach an interaction with an open-mindedness, you can grow. From overhearing political discussions at lunch to our panel of speakers regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it's easy to see that it is unwillingness to understand that causes disputes. If we are prepared to learn from each other rather than remain set in our beliefs, we can continue to advance and work towards peace. At the end of our confidential friendship circle, Mr. Dow summarized all that we had shared as about the importance of relationships and experiences. After sharing stories, it felt like many people had lessons that they wished to impart based on their history. That's because when we experience things, we learn from them, and then we can learn from each other's lives as well. Growth is constantly building on itself. Dr. Seuss expresses the admiration of learning well, which is on track with the Seussical production from just over a month ago. The more you read, the more things you shall know. The more that you learn, the more places you shall go. Lifelong learning will bring you towards the future, chasing the concept, unattainable by definition, so it's a little less scary and a little more conquerable. The future is a grand minefield in which there are many lessons to help us along. But if you are willing to learn and grow, discovering the multitude of lessons along the way, you can take control of your life and bring yourself and the rest of the world to a better, changed future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, John. It is now time for a musical interlude, and I have to tell you that one of my favorite parts of this job is watching our students perform. Whether it's on the court, the field, or stage, I am constantly amazed by the extent of our kids' talent. But before they actually do that, I do want to acknowledge a very special colleague, Jen Bauer-Conley, affectionately known as JBC. She is my creative partner on so many things throughout the school year, from opening ceremony in August to closing ceremony yesterday to commencement this evening in June. She is so smart, so creative. She's an artistic inspiration who doesn't just make the kids better, which they will tell you. She makes me better. She makes us better. So thank you for JBC. You are truly a gift. Now, here to perform True Colors are, from left to right, Chloe Hale, Gabby Samuels, and Lily Harrison, accompanied by faculty member Josh Scheinman from the band on guitar. Enjoy.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, so I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness there inside you makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. See your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful. a smile then. And don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing.
If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear,
You can call me up because you know I'll be there.
and I see your
True colors shining through.
see your
True colors, that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. Your true colors, your true colors.
are beautiful.
Like a rainbow. I can't remember when I last saw you laugh. If this world makes you crazy,
And you've taken all you can bear.
you can call me up because you know I'll be there.
And I see
Your true colors shining through. See your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. Your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful. Like a rainbow.
So beautiful. Well done. I would pay to see them, but they pay. It's sort of anyway, all right. Sorry. All right, so now we come to something that is another Emery tradition started over 10 years ago. It's something we call Gratitude Revealed. So towards the end of the Grab Art Poland Israel trip, I joined the students for what is absolutely the highlight of my year. And after we have finished the sea-to-sea cross-country hike, and we finally moved from tents to hotel, where I'm much happier, I asked the seniors to write a letter to someone in their lives who has made a positive impact on them, but someone whom perhaps the student has not properly or fully acknowledged or thanked. And so after completing those messages, students email them to the school, not the person they're thanking. We then take excerpts from those emails and we include them in the beautiful video that you're about to see. As for the complete letters, we print all of them on bond paper and we send them in envelopes by standard mail, something the students have heard of but never experienced, so that loved ones should receive them late next week or shortly thereafter as a sort of summer thank you note. Special thanks to my colleague Melissa Berinsky for her fabulous work putting it all together. Here now is this year's rendition of Gratitude Revealed.
Oh, yeah. Here we are now. Everything's about to change. We face tomorrow as we say goodbye to yesterday. A chapter ending, but the story's only just begun. A page is turning for everyone. So I'm moving on, letting go, holding on to tomorrow. I've always got the memories while I'm finding out who I'm gonna
from now we'll all be gone. All our friends will move away, and they're going to better places, but our friends will be gone away. Nothing is as it has been, and I miss your face like hell. And I guess it's just as well, but I miss your face like hell. Been talking about the way things change, and my family lives in a different state. And if you don't know what to make of this, then we will not relate. So if you don't know what to make of this, then we will not relate. Till I reach you. Rivers and roads, oh rivers and roads, oh rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, 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 rivers till I reach you.
Gets me every time. Every year at this time, graduation speakers all over the country face a similar challenge. Finding something to say that is not just entertaining, hopefully even meaningful, but to deliver an address that includes invaluable lifelong advice. It's as if we assume that the last 4 or 7 years that y'all have spent here has essentially been a waste during which you've learned very little, and now it all comes down to this. It's kind of nuts, really. Plus, it turns out that much of the graduation advice that is given is wrong. For example, speakers will often suggest that life will be fulfilling if you pursue your personal passion. That sounds great, except, of course, if you don't know what your personal passion is. And even for those of you who do know what that passion is now, it often changes over time. And still, even leaving that aside, what's worse is that research recently published by the American Psychological Association concluded that what graduates often indicate as their, quote, personal passion turns out to be heavily influenced by all sorts of external societal influences that they're not even aware of, meaning it's not accurate. So what is a commencement speaker supposed to do? Now, in my case, the situation is even more daunting because I am talking in front of and to a group of high school seniors who are unusually talented. Honestly, this is an incredibly special group of young men and women. They're not just smart, really smart. They're kind, funny, thoughtful, empathetic, self-reflective, and self-aware. You could tell that just from the two talks you heard from John and Nicole. Now, I won't share what was said or confessed in the final friendship circle. Ooh. But you should have heard the conversations they were having during that previously commented or marked C2C hike, the one where we go from the Mediterranean to the Sea of Galilee. On their own, without any adult prompting, they were deeply immersed in genuine conversations, ranging from politics, including gun rights, gender identity, and Middle East diplomacy, to religion, including God, goodness, and the afterlife. So what can I possibly convey that they don't already know? I'm not sure much of anything, but I want to suggest one thing, at least as an ongoing prompt, that I hope you'll keep in mind going forward when it is so easy to become distracted. To that end, I want to take you back to the Torah study we did on our last Shabbat morning together at Kibbutz Gadot in the north. The weekly Torah portion was Parshat Navo, which included a description of the ancient and admittedly disturbing ritual initiated when a husband suspects his wife of committing adultery, a process called sota. We talked about how to find meaning in part of our tradition that clearly no longer feels relevant, in fact, is plainly inconsistent with our contemporary values. We discussed how grappling with the text doesn't have to result in abandoning Judaism, but instead it can be part of an ongoing evolution of our religion that helps foster lasting connection with it, something that happens even among the most observant in our community. In addition, we also talked about the following specific line. Get ready. Ani tifaret. Sorry, wait, that's not exactly right. It's this next word. It's just this, just that. It's tiferet. And actually, this word isn't related to our time on the kibbutz. It's a concept in Kabbalah. Let me explain. This is Abraham Lowenthal, a soft-spoken religious artist who met with students just last week. Originally from Chicago, Abraham discovered deep spiritual appeal in Jewish mysticism known as Kabbalah. So he and his family moved to Tzfat, the center of Jewish mysticism, where he owns a gallery and gives talks explaining his Kabbalah-inspired paintings to visitors. This piece of Abraham's is called The Tree of Life. It's not really one of his more creative works, but it's an important one. It's his version of a well-known idea in Kabbalah that depicts a map of spiritual consciousness, complete with the 10 sfirot, or emanations of God's presence that we experience, or at least strive to experience. Now, without getting into too much detail, not only because I do not want to bore you, but I am not Rabbi Morgan, who is our residential mysticism expert. I, on the other hand, know just enough to be dangerous. I do want to point this out. That orange circle that's right in the middle, the one that has the number 6 labeled on it, is called Tiferet. The meaning of Tiferet is balance, though it is also sometimes explained as beauty. Now, dear students, I know that you did not consciously intend for anything like this to emerge from our little word game. But that is some serious spiritual karma, because if I could give you any meaningful advice for this day going forward, I don't think I could do better than to focus on the two ideas inherent in that word, Tiferet. To live a life filled with balance, to live a life attendant to beauty. Let's start with balance. First, let me explain what the term refers to in the context of that Kabbalistic tree of life. There it is meant to suggest that the ideal place to be in a continuum that includes strength on the one hand and kindness on the other is exactly in the middle. With God, the application of this idea is frequently the interface between divine justice and divine mercy. With parents raising kids, it's the tension between harsh discipline and forgiving love. Of course, you are neither God nor parents yet. But for you, for graduates about to leave the emotional safety and family of friends, the emotional safety of family and friends, the challenge of finding this balance will likely arise in several different ways as early as next year. A new roommate who tests your patience with habits that annoy. An old friend who falls out of touch despite repeated efforts on your part. A fraternity brother who pressures you to do things that you're not comfortable with doing. A sorority sister who's being treated poorly by others in your social circle. A professor who says things that you find difficult to hear. An employer who is demanding in ways that you've never previously experienced. In all of these ways, and countless others, you will have to show strength or kindness or both, and balance what might sometimes feel like competing values. Importantly, in the Tree of Light map, Tiferet is said to balance two other realms. These are on the vertical axis. Intellect on the one hand, and emotion on the other. The challenge of finding and maintaining equilibrium in this context will be equally as hard. And here too, there will be countless opportunities for you to do so. Undoubtedly, one of those will be regarding Israel. As we discussed in class, nearly all of you will encounter vehement and sometimes virulent attacks on the Jewish state. In many of those instances, the charges will be completely unfounded or largely exaggerated. You'll have to decide how or even if to respond. That said, some of the criticisms of Israel will be fair and factual, and you'll encounter defenses of the Jewish state that don't acknowledge these. In the heat of both moments, remaining calm and thoughtful will be hard, so breathe. Strive for balance. Listen with an open mind and an open heart. That's Tiferet. Then, and only then, respond accordingly. There's a third type of balance, not explicitly demarcated in the Kabbalistic map, but definitely implied, and it's more holistic in nature. Now that the relentless, arguably senseless pursuit of the perfect college admission is over, the relentless, arguably senseless pursuit of other external measures of success begins. Now, to be clear, I'm not suggesting that you stop working hard to achieve important goals. Excellence was one of the 3 E's that we talked about at opening ceremony, along with energy and empathy. And I marvel and take pride in what Emery graduates have gone on to do and attain after leaving here. But I am counseling balance because maintaining your mental health must be a priority. I recently saw an article in Inc. magazine. Inc., a periodical devoted to business, not yoga, where the author wisely cautioned readers about this very subject of balance and recommended even this for the busiest of professionals, that we regularly and honestly assess the following areas in our lives: our physical health, spiritual health, financial health. Are you spending more than you make? Do you have regular family time? Do you have regular time with friends? Do you have time that you give to others and help the less fortunate? And with regard to your career, do you genuinely like what you're doing at least most days? All of which to say is that despite strong currents and attractive temptations that can easily take you elsewhere, be vigilant about balance. It is critical to long-term happiness. Finally, the second definition of Tiferet is closely connected with the sort of balance that I just described. As previously mentioned, Tiferet also means beauty. In Hebrew, the word for world is olam, which also means hidden. This too is a Kabbalistic idea. The notion is that God's presence often isn't obvious. It's certainly not like it was in the stories from the Bible. Instead, that which is divine, however you perceive or experience it, is often subtle and can be overlooked. And yet, it's all around us. You just have to take the time, or more accurately, you must make the time to see the beauty in this world. It's a star-filled night in Big Bend. It's desert mountains in West Texas or southern Israel. It's green forests, it's snow falling, waves crashing, birds singing, classmates laughing, friends hugging, family, however we define her, loving. Balance and beauty. These are the two guideposts I hope you will follow in the many years that follow, years in which we know you will do amazing things for a world that desperately needs you. Congratulations, Emery Class of 2023. As Mr. Lombardi and Mr. Roundtree now help us move the table with diplomas, thank you, gentlemen. Allow me to say a brief word regarding protocol during this portion of the ceremony. In terms of hooting, hollering, shouting for kids as they receive their diplomas, absolutely fine. Do it. It's encouraged. Be as loud as you want. Now I'd like to ask my colleague, again, Upper School Head Joe Weinstein-Sears and Upper School Assistant Head Dana Abalafia, to please come forward and help us do what the graduates have been waiting all morning and 4 years for, getting their diplomas. Let's go.
Good evening. You guys ready? All right, will the fourth row please rise? Shira Allerton. David Ansel Anapolsky. William Brandon Baker. Avi Jacob Barrios. Taylor Mays Bazarski. Andre Atia Benveniste. Samuel Isaac Berman. Brooke Faith Burzin. Jordan Michaela Blum. Benjamin Lewis Brody. Joshua Yale Costa. Anne Catherine Crabtree. Jonathan Reed DeLeaf. Catherine Riley DeLeaf. Ryan Henry Dorfman. Walter Levi Garrett. Ethan Harris Gleich. Sophie Lee Halprin. Gali Devora Hampo. Quinn Hotchglub. Noah Daniel Johnson. Will the fourth row please be seated, and will the third row please rise? Jane Park Johnston. Brian Parker Joseph. Garrett Jacob Kaplan. Dylan Hayden Kessler. Ruben Evan Kessler. Ezra Raven Key Cohen. Elsa Nancy Jacqueline Koenig. Bianca Ella Lazarus. Brooke Elizabeth Lee. Sophie Rosetta Lewis. Lucas Luna Giorgi. Cole Joseph Manley. Kylie Bryn Markowitz. Leo Paul Mendel. David J. Morrison. Finn Ethan Nagar. Jake Ryan Newman. Barbara Olivia Norwood. Magdalene Elise Novak. Jenna Gabriella Paul. Will the third row please be seated, and will the second row please rise? Ariana Christine Petty. Daniel Jacob Pinellas. Ethan Julian Present. Bo Henry Rabinowitz. Sage Elliott Rosenfeld. Grant Neil Rothfeder. Leah Blake Samuels. Raphael Sharp. Miles Jeremy Silver. Ava Rose Slobin. Ari Benjamin Strauss. Dylan Alexander Taylor. Sophia Irene Tolias. Sydney Alexis Walker. Samantha Abrams Weiss. Samuel Morris Whitman. Alexander Reese Wigder. Benjamin Avi Zadok. Alexander Nicholas Zimmerman. Will the second row please be seated, and will the first row please rise? Margaret Leo Huh. Jake Stephen Massett. Ava Kate Trachtenberg. Ella Rivka Trubeck. Ellen Lee Weinstein. Jack Gabriel Pransky. Noah Abigail Barkan. Blythe Austin Mogul. Maya Helene Mayliv. Chloe Eliza Hale. Gabrielle Victoria Samuels. Lily Holt Harrison. Maya J. Freeberg. Maddox Stone Friedman. Mimi Esty Samuels. Nicole Ainsley Hampton. John Allen Farrell. You guys can be seated. Congratulations to the class of 2023.
Since it is late Friday and the Jewish Sabbath will begin shortly, we want to welcome her together by reciting the Shabbat blessings led by three of our graduates. Y'all can start moving this way. When we get to the Motzi, I hope that you will join us in the Emery weekly tradition. We all rise, we join arm in arm as we connect as a community. Here to lead us in the brachot are Maya Friedberg, Maddox Friedman, and Mimi Samuels.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen. Please join us arm in arm as we say the Motzi.
For what reason? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lehen min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. We are close, but first I'd like to ask Rabbis Michael Morgan of Kabbalah fame and Ari Vernon to come forward for the closing benediction, the priestly blessing. Gentlemen.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. The Lord bless you and keep you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom v'yasem lecha shalom.
That was electronic for amen. Thank you. So now we are close. We are tantalizingly close. But allow me to explain how we do the recessional here at Emery. It may not be typical, but it is reflective of who we are. One of the most defining qualities of our school is the teacher-student relationship. We don't just look for subject matter experts. We look for faculty who genuinely care about kids and work hard to forge connections with them. And the students themselves will tell you the impact that this has on their education and their experience here. So in just a second, I'd like to ask these wonderful teachers who are in the first few rows who have given so much because they care so much to line the aisle as the students walk before them and past them one last time before they enter the post-Emery world that awaits them. Mr. Dean, music please, and teachers, please take your places. Graduates, please rise. And now, for that age-old wonderful tradition of tossing your hats in the sky, we're going to do it on the count of 3 in Hebrew. Here we go now. Echad, shtaim, shalosh.